Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Sekani, a podcast for people in their 20s who are trying to figure out life and not get lost along the way. Today's guest is Mike Hunt, founder of Dream Lab, where he helps professionals transition from unfulfilling career into purpose-driven businesses safely. After 25 years in corporate ICT, Mike walks away to follow his own passion. For the past decade, he's helped others test and build their ideas without quitting their jobs or risking everything. Mike believes you don't have to leap blindly. You can experiment your way into alignment. Mike, welcome to Conversations with Sekani. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you very much, Joy, and it's great to be on your program. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, so the idea people carry for years. So can you tell me why do people sit on business ideas for decades?
Well, it's an interesting question, Joy, and I think it relates. It'll be interesting for your younger audience too, because what happens is people do sit on ideas for decades, and but even when we're younger, we often know what we really want to do, but we're kind of conditioned. We want to
Mm,
follow a certain path. We feel as though that there's this safe life that you can work in a job and you'll be looked after. And I think that there's that fear of actually going out and really following your passion and following your dreams. And I really think that's why people sit on this idea for sometimes decades. And I guess for
mm,
your younger audiences to realize that even though, like, I work with a lot of people even in their 50s who still struggle to work out what their dream is. So for anyone listening who's a bit younger and they're not
yeah.
quite sure, they feel a bit lost because they don't know exactly what they should be doing in life. And I think that's completely okay because people who are double the age are in the same boat.
Yeah. All right. Wow. Okay, so it's quite surprising actually that I don't know, someone in their 50s still, probably don't know what to do. So that means there's hope, right, for the younger generations,
You would
actually.
be surprised how many, and
Wow.
I think, and it is a bit like you said about sitting on their dreams for so long, because what
Mm.
happens is people get into their career, they get into their work, and they sort of just get stuck there for decades.
Wow.
And often it takes something as they get older to make them think, hey, wait a sec, what was I meant to be doing with my life? So it's a good, I think it's something that the younger audience needs to consider, that just to
Mm.
keep an eye out on that.
Okay, definitely. So, talking about fear, right? So, what does fear sound like in someone's head?
The fear is what I've seen is fear stops everybody because we're always afraid of something. And what it feels like in the head, I think it's actually often we don't feel it too much, because what happens is as we start sensing the fear, we shut down and we go back to the safe life. So a lot of people don't day to day actively live in the fear. What they
Mm,
do is they sense the fear and then they go, oh, I'll go back to my comfort zone. So they're not really challenging that a lot of the time. And then
mm,
that's where, a lot of people I work with, they're actually confronting their fear. And then that does, that's what we do at Dream Lab to help you overcome the fear. But I think a lot of people don't even face the fear. They just stay in their comfort zone.
okay, wow. So yeah, the first thing, right, for one to do is actually face the fear so that we can eventually overcome that fear, right?
That's correct. It's
Okay.
exactly right. So what we do, what I do in Dream Lab is we accept the fear, we realize and understand that it's there, and that's what the
Mm,
whole Dream Lab concept is about, is to test the ideas, because a lot of people are fearful because they've got this idea, as you said, they've been sitting on it
mm,
for decades, but they've
mm,
never really pursued it. And I think that that's where it's a matter of exploring, testing, and just understanding that you don't have to change everything straight away. You can actually have a dream, you can have a passion, and it goes for older people, it goes for younger
mm,
people. You can have a passion, you can have an interest that you're right into, but you don't
mm,
have to commit your whole life to it straight away. And once you
mm,
understand that, once you understand that you can do it just on the side, you can test it, you can actively pursue it, but it doesn't have to be your main thing immediately, then you can start to overcome the fear.
mm. Okay, all right then. Okay, so I have a couple of questions, but like
Yeah,
I am moved to ask actually, I want to ask something totally different from what I already want to ask you. And it's about Dream Lab, right? As the founder of Dream Lab, we know that you're like a professional that helps transition from unfulfilling careers to purpose-driven businesses.
yeah.
So can you tell us more? Because I feel like Dream Lab has more to offer, right? Other than what I've just said. So can you just tell us more like about Dream Lab basically?
Well, the interesting thing, yeah, I'd love to. The interesting thing is it's not necessarily more because
Mhm.
what we know is often less is actually more. So to
Mm,
transition from an unfulfilling career to a purpose-driven business, to do something that you love, to follow your dreams, there's a lot in that. And if you actually can do that, I think anyone who's listening who can actually go and make money and have a business, have a life that they're
mm,
following their dreams, they're following their passion, they're doing great work in the community, they're helping others, making the world a better
mm,
place, making a positive impact. I think
mm,
when people are doing that, they really light up. So it's not that the result is any more or less. It's more about the process, and that's really what we
mm,
can look at, because it really starts with understanding what you're really passionate about, and it's the same
mm,
especially for younger people, because there's a difference between understanding what you're passionate about to leaving
mm,
your job and going chasing it, if there's a difference. But when we're
mm,
consciously understanding what we're passionate about, and we actually try to keep that simple and start to follow that passion in a methodical way with the time that we've got, then that's when things snowball and we really start to live
mm.
our dream.
All right. Wow. Okay, talking about transition, right? This is the
Yeah,
first time I'm hearing of safe transition because usually when one wants to
yeah,
transition from probably one career to the other, I just
exactly.
believe you just have to quit, right? And just go
Yeah,
at it
exactly.
straight up, right? But I never knew there was something like safe transitioning. So, why do you think people shouldn't quit immediately?
Because what happens is, yeah, it's a very good question, and some people do struggle with the concept. But what I've seen is well, it's first of all, it's hard to overcome the fear. So it's
Mm,
it's hard to make the transition to jump. So especially if you're going into more of an entrepreneurial mindset when you're maybe starting a business,
mm,
partnering with people, you're starting something, a movement or whatever you're doing, then to suit the day you walk out of your job, you lose the pay, and you lose the income, and you lose that safety of that environment. And what
mm,
happens with people is then all of a sudden they go into, oh, I've got to make money as fast as I can, and they
mm,
do whatever they do. They do whatever they can do to make the money. So there's a real compromise that happens once you leave the safe career. So by testing it strategically and actually starting your business on the side, it may feel like it's going to take longer. It may not feel as effective, but what happens is you've got all your resources, you've got your income,
mm,
you've got the safety of your work, and often you've got a community at your work, you've got a network, and you can really start to to work how to leverage your day
mm,
job to help you with your passion, what you're really chasing, and it really makes a difference because as you start developing that passion, you can do it so much better when you have the safety as the job because you can actually follow your passion, you can follow your dream, and you don't have to compromise and start, settling for less, if
mm,
you like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I now totally understand what you said, and it makes so much sense, right? Than,
Oh,
just quitting and then starting all over. Okay, I think this makes so much sense actually. And yeah, what would you say the biggest mistake new founders, make emotionally?
the following what we were saying and the emotional side of it,
Mm,
there's a lot of talk in the entrepreneurial and rah-rah industry about burn the bridges, make
mm,
the leap, and there's all this sort of rah-rah about
yeah,
because what they're saying is what people who say will burn the bridges and just go for it. What they're really doing is they're saying shift your mindset so you are doing this now. And then
mm,
for some people that works, but it puts a lot of pressure on you, you see?
mm,
So so you can get the same effect, or you can actually get a better effect by testing it in a
mm,
methodical and organized way. And because what happens is rather than going into flight or fight mode, rather than panicking every night and lying awake and you can't sleep, you're wondering how you're going to get paid, how you're going to get customers and all this. You're methodically testing your business idea and you can start doing it because we can always find a bit of time, whether it's lunchtime, after hours, on the weekends. Maybe you can negotiate with your work to
mm,
work, do it 5 days in 4 days and have a day off or whatever you need to do. And you can do an amazing amount you can make a lot of progress, more than
mm,
you realize when
mm,
you're relaxed and when you're passionate about it and you're really following your dreams and you're actually saying, hey, I'm not doing this just for the money. I'm doing it to follow my passion and follow my dream. And it's like fuel on the fire. You get so excited about it, and that's the mindset shift you're talking about. That's You don't have to
mm,
burn the bridges to get the mindset shift. What you start doing is testing your idea. You start helping people, and you start doing
mm.
great things, and people saying, "Hey, I love what you're doing," and all of a sudden, oh, wait a sec, I didn't think that this was possible, but
Wow.
it is, so it's
Mm.
great. It's great.
Okay, wow. Okay. And I feel like added to that, right, is that way you avoid burnout, right? Because if you just quit and then you just like transition just directly, I feel like you put in so much effort because you have to make it work this time around because you feel like, oh, I've quit what I was doing. This has to work. And then you try working and working, and then before you know it, you're burned out, right? So
It's the
trying to
it's
balance it just makes it a lot easier, actually. Yeah.
It's exactly right. When you transition immediately, you burn the bridges, you just go for it, you burn
Mm,
out. And what happens with a lot of entrepreneurs, in fact, I would say almost all of them that I've ever known who have done that sort of thing,
mm,
is we do it wrong. You don't
mm,
know. You've been in a job, you move into being an entrepreneur, you think, I'm just going to go for it. Well, you don't know. You don't
mm,
know the best way to do things. You don't know the systems that works. You don't know what people want. They don't, you just don't know what the service products and services
yeah,
that everyone loves. You just can't know. It's like marketing, right? No one
yeah,
knows how marketing works. Some people become famous and go viral because of their cat videos or flipping something upside down on YouTube or whatever it is. No one really knows what works. So if you think you can just leave your job and go straight into business, you're going to make a lot of mistakes and you're going to spend a lot of money. We know that. You know, that's I've seen it over and over and over and over again. And people burn a lot of money, they burn a lot of time, they burn a lot of resources, and that
resources.
becomes overwhelming, yeah, for sure.
Mm,
And then you get burnt out.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. I feel like this is, really, really insightful. And I also feel like a lot of people should know about this because there should be a lot of awareness created around this because it is often overlooked, actually. So, yeah, there should be a whole lot of awareness around this. And yeah, I want us to talk about, community and courage, right? So why is building alongside others really important?
Well, it's as important as the test before you leave your job. So I think there's really
Mm,
two parts of it. One is you don't just leave your job, you start building up slowly. And the other part
mm,
is to build people, build community around you who are doing the same thing. Maybe they understand what you're doing. You
mm,
know, they may be entrepreneurs, they may be in, similar businesses to you or whatever the case may be. But people are
mm,
we're community animals, right? We're being born, we've
mm,
evolved to want to work in a tribe. And and so when we're trying to do it ourselves, it's extremely hard.
mm,
But once we start, and even if it's just a friend who's on a similar journey that you catch up with once a week and you brainstorm and whatever, but there's so many communities, there's so many places, there's obviously the Dream Lab community and we've got people in there, but there's so many people everywhere that will
mm,
help you. And I think one of my biggest learnings when I started on the journey, when I reached out to people who were already doing what I was doing, I
mm,
thought no one would talk to me, but almost everybody I've ever reached out, they were happy to catch up, happy to have a coffee, happy to share their experiences, and it really blows you
mm,
away how helpful people are, and especially when for your younger audience, when you're younger,
mm,
if you're interested in the field, this is what I'm trying to get across here is that they can keep doing whatever they're doing, but if they've
mm,
got this passion, something burn inside, just get it going. Find people
mm,
that they can talk to about it and let people know what they want to do. And it's amazing how you find people in your world that are willing to support you, are willing to come along for the journey.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much for that one, actually. Right. And I was actually
That's
going
okay.
to, ask you because my podcast, it's for young adults, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
if let's say someone in their 20s feel unfulfilled early, what would you advise they do, actually?
If they fear early or they want to do something
They
early,
feel unfulfilled. Yes.
unfulfilled, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think for your younger audience, like if you're in your 20s, right, you may not
Mm,
know exactly how everything's going to pan out. You may
mm,
not know how it works, but what happens is we get stuck when we're younger. We get stuck in the exact same thing as everyone who's older does. They think, "Am I doing my job that's
mm,
safe and da da da, or am I following my passion and following my dreams?" And a lot of people
mm,
say to them, "Oh, follow your dreams, and you can do anything, and all this sort of thing, right?" And
mm,
and I think it's important for them to realize that no, staying in their job, doing whatever it is, even if it's just, not just, but even if it's something that maybe isn't your lifelong job,
mm,
you may be, doing a lower level job that you want to than you want to be at in the
mm,
future, but that's okay. It's a matter of shifting the focus to saying, well, okay,
mm,
what do I really want to do? What
mm,
am I really passionate about? And once they start focusing, you can see the mindset shift like you mentioned before.
mm,
Because
mm,
rather than, okay, I'm doing my, hourly rate job and I'm just chipping along doing my thing. Once they start thinking about, as an example, right? Say you're a waitress or waiter
mm,
and or you work in hospitality and you're thinking, oh, one day I'm going to leave and I'm going to follow my dreams and whatever that case may be. Well, there's no reason once they accept that, oh, I am doing hospitality, may love
mm,
doing hospitality, and that's great, but I've got a real passionate about dogs or whatever the case may be, helping
mm,
people or whatever the case may be. Once they accept that, and they start talking to people. They can start talking to people at work while they're taking their order, dropping off the drinks, you know. Oh, hi,
Mm,
what do you do? Well, oh, look, I'm right into, I like wildlife protection or whatever the case may be. And then if they just start blending that into their real life,
mm,
then rather than waiting for the perfect time, you just start doing it. And it's amazing how many people you'll find who will just appear from nowhere who will be able to support them.
Wow. Okay, yeah. So thank you so much for this actually. And I feel like well, personally, I feel like you spoke to me directly, right? On a personal note. Yeah. And I hope my listeners can also learn from what you've said today because you've had a whole lot of knowledge to share with us today. And so this brings us to like the final segment of my podcast. It's called the rapid fire segment.
Yep, yep.
So I call out some words and then you pick what you prefer. So starting now, would you prefer leap or test?
Test.
Okay. Fear or data?
Fear.
Okay. Passion or paycheck?
Passion every time.
Okay. Simplicity or complexity?
Simplicity every time.
Okay. And finally, drift or design?
I like design. Yes.
Okay. All right. I felt that one was a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for this, Mike. This has been amazing. And where can listeners get to know more about you and what you do?
So I'm on all the socials, but the best place is if you just go to my website,
Okay.
yourdreamlab.org, yourdreamlab.org. And I've actually got a quiz on there that's really cool because it's
Mm,
what type of change maker are you? And they can do the quiz, and it gets them starting to think, especially for your younger audience, starting to
mm,
think about what sort of how they'd be approaching business. Whether there's
okay.
someone in their community, whether they're got a lot of things going on, whether they want to travel and be, online or whatever. So there's a few things, and just by doing the quiz, it gets people to think
All right.
outside the square, I guess.
Okay, wow. So that means I could actually check it out now and do the quiz now,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. You should. Yeah, yeah. And I'd love to hear
Oh,
from you. And I actually offer a 15-minute chat. I'm happy to
mm,
talk to people about this sort of
mm,
stuff. So, I'm the more I talk about it, the happier I am. So it's my passion.
oh,
So I'm more than happy when people reach out and want to ask
okay.
questions and get into it.
All
Yeah.
right. So I'll definitely be reaching out actually, and I'll be checking the quiz thing because I
I'd
love those
love,
quizzes so much.
I'd
All
love
right.
to
So
talk to
yeah.
you. I'd love to talk to you more
Okay.
about it.
All right, Mike. So thank you so much. This has been deeply, deeply insightful. And yeah, I hope we could get to do this some other time, actually.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
All right. And yeah, to my listeners, thanks for tuning into Conversations with Sekani. If this episode sparked something in you, make sure to share to someone who you think might need this. And also subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Thank you, Michael. Do have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.